closed the door and locked it behind them. That day marked the beginning of Sarah's nightmare. What happened in the gym was something no child should ever endure. A betrayal so profound that it left her shaken, confused, and terrified. She didn't fully understand what had happened to her, but she knew it was wrong. And Mr. Thompson made sure she wouldn't tell anyone, warning her that no one would believe her and threatening her with consequences if she spoke up. The shocking truth behind a school guard's secret. A story of betrayal and courage. What if the walls of the one place you believed to be safe, the one place you trusted, hid a terrible truth? Imagine a school, a haven of learning and growth, harboring a dark secret that would devastate the lives of its students and their families. This is the story of Sarah, a 10-year-old girl whose courage not only brought justice, but sparked a movement for change. Stay with us until the end, because the shocking truths we uncover might just change how you view safety, trust, and responsibility forever. A picture of innocence. Sarah was the embodiment of childhood innocence. She was the kind of child who could find joy in the simplest of things, a new book, a sunny day, or a game with her friends. At 10 years old, she was bursting with potential. She loved art class, where she could lose herself in colors and shapes, and she excelled in English, where her imagination ran wild through the stories she read and wrote. Her parents, Mark and Linda, were proud of her. They worked hard to give Sarah a good life and trusted her school to be a safe place for her to thrive. To them, the school was more than just a building. It was a sanctuary where their daughter could chase her dreams under the watchful eyes of caring teachers and a diligent staff. Among those staff members was Mr. Thompson, the school's security guard. Known for his stern demeanor, Mr. Thompson had a reputation as a no-nonsense protector. He was the kind of person parents would nod to in passing, grateful for his presence. But beneath his composed exterior lay a sinister secret, the uneasy feeling. The first sign of trouble was subtle. Sarah began noticing things that felt off. Mr. Thompson standing just a little too close during recess, his gaze lingering on her longer than it should. At first, she brushed it off as her imagination. He was a trusted adult after all. But the unease grew. There were times when she would find him waiting in hallways where she wasn't expecting anyone, or he would speak to her in ways that made her skin crawl. She didn't know how to describe these feelings to anyone, so she chose to stay silent, convincing herself it was all in her head. The first encounter. One afternoon, as the school was emptying out, Mr. Thompson approached Sarah with a request. "Could you help me carry some supplies to the gym?" he asked, his voice calm and composed. Sarah hesitated. Something inside her told her to say no, but she didn't want to appear rude. Reluctantly, she followed him to the gym. Once inside, he locked the door behind them. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Before she could react, the atmosphere shifted, and what unfolded changed her life forever. Living in fear. The days that followed were a blur of confusion and fear for Sarah. She didn't fully understand what had happened to her in the gym, but she knew it was wrong. Worse, Mr. Thompson made sure she stayed silent. "If you tell anyone," he warned, his voice low and menacing, "no one will believe you. And you'll be the one in trouble." Sarah was terrified. She began to withdraw from everything she loved, her classes, her friends, even her family. Her once vibrant personality dulled, replaced by a quiet, fearful shell of her former self. Her parents were the first to notice the change. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" her mother, Linda, would ask, sitting beside her at bedtime. But Sarah would shake her head, unable to find the words to explain her pain. The silent spiral. Weeks turned into months, and the nightmare worsened. Mr. Thompson continued to exploit Sarah's fear, finding opportunities to isolate and harm her. He began calling her after school, reinforcing his threats. "Remember what I said, Sarah. No one can help you," he'd say, his voice echoing through the phone like a dark shadow over her life. Sarah's schoolwork suffered. She stopped drawing and barely participated in class. Her teacher, Mrs. Emily, tried to reach out, but Sarah's silence was impenetrable. Then came the moment that made Sarah's situation undeniable. She realized she was pregnant. A child carrying a secret. For a 10-year-old girl, the concept of pregnancy was incomprehensible. Sarah didn't understand what was happening to her body, only that something was very wrong. She tried to hide it, wearing baggy clothes and avoiding eye contact with everyone around her. Her parents grew increasingly worried. "She's not eating, Mark," Linda said one evening, her voice trembling. "She's pale and weak. Something is wrong." But Sarah refused to open up, and her parents were left helpless, watching their daughter slip further away. A devastating revelation. One day, during a routine class, Sarah collapsed. Her teacher, Mrs. Emily, rushed to her side, and the school immediately called her parents. At the hospital, doctors delivered the shocking news. Sarah had been carrying a 4-month-old fetus, but it had died. The revelation stunned her parents, who demanded answers. "Sarah, please," her father begged, tears streaming down his face. "Tell us what happened. Who did this to you?" But Sarah couldn't speak. The fear of Mr. Thompson's threats still gripped her, rendering her silent. Finding a trusted ally. Sarah's journey to recovery was long and difficult. Therapy became a cornerstone of her healing process, helping her navigate the emotional scars left by her trauma. When she returned to school months later, Sarah discovered that her best friend, Lily, had been avoiding her. Fearing the worst, Sarah followed Lily after school one day and found her in the gym, Mr. Thompson's old haunt. To her horror, she saw her staff member attempting to harm Lily. Acting on instinct, Sarah ran for help, ensuring Lily's safety. It wasn't until weeks later that Sarah found the courage to confide in someone she trusted, Mrs. Emily. After class one day, Sarah broke down in tears and told her teacher everything. Mrs. Emily listened with a heavy heart, holding back her own tears as she assured Sarah that she wasn't alone. "You're so brave for telling me this," she said gently. "We're going to make this right." Together, they reviewed CCTV footage and uncovered damning evidence of Mr. Thompson's actions. The following day, the police were called, and Mr. Thompson was arrested. A community in shock. The news of Mr. Thompson's arrest spread quickly, shaking the school and its community to the core. Parents demanded answers from the administration. How could someone so trusted betray their children in such a horrifying way? The school implemented immediate changes, including stricter background checks, more security cameras, and training for staff on recognizing and preventing abuse. The long road to healing. A legacy of courage. Sarah's bravery didn't just bring justice, it inspired others to speak out. Her case became a catalyst for change, prompting schools across the district to adopt stronger protections for their students. Today, Sarah is an advocate for child safety, using her voice to ensure that no child has to endure what she did. Her story is a reminder that even in the darkest times, courage and resilience can light the way forward. A call to action. This isn't just Sarah's story. It's a call to every parent, teacher, and guardian to remain vigilant and create environments where children feel safe and heard. If you found Sarah's story powerful, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of children everywhere.